Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
You want to go? I'm
You're-
Nolan Carney.
and we're thrilled to welcome back Alissa Czisny. Alyssa, welcome back to the skating lesson.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to be discussing everything happening in Skate Canada, and because you are an honorary Canadian, I thought that you'd be great to discuss this with us. Jonathan's going to be back for one of the next Grand Prix. Alyssa, what did you make of this event? You helped Kirk get ready for commentary.
I did. So I watched all of the pre-event, all of the skaters in their pre-event if they had one. So I was kind of ready to watch this event this time.
All right. Well, there's a lot to cover. What we could go any discipline that you want to start with. I really want to discuss the ice dance. Can we discuss the ice dance first?
Yes.
I'm in love with Marjorie and Zach, and I think that this is so not Canadian, but I think that they're ready to be the best team in the world. I think that they have like a freshness and some X factor that's like moving them forward. I can't put my finger on like what it is, but I'm very excited by them right now.
I think they're fantastic, but I think they're missing the X factor.
Really?
You do.
Like the star quality, like the ones that put them at the top and make people want to watch skating. I think they're fantastic. Maybe they're just not there yet, or maybe because they're not at the top, they don't have it, but
I
Like
think
I
also
see the ingredients, like they're both very interesting to me as people, and we don't know a lot about them yet, which is part of the problem because they've
yeah.
had part of their problem why they haven't moved up, and then some of the predicament that they're in is that they've had a lot of concussions and illnesses and injuries, right? So they didn't do any
Okay.
events before Skate Canada. So this was their first performance of the free dance. And to me, and I know it was Piper and Paul's first performance, but Piper and Paul are so experienced and I felt like they went out there with a lot more power and confidence.
They
That
also did that program on Stars this year, their
okay.
free dance. It was obviously the shortened version, just the analytics part, but it was so good. It was like old school ice dance.
Okay,
And
yes.
I loved it. And it's unfortunate that you have to put elements in a program that gorgeous.
Hmm.
So I still loved it. I just think that the version that's the show program is even more spectacular. I like what they did though. I like what they did for both dances.
How about the open back on Paul? I was like distracted by it. I have to
That's
say, like,
exactly what Kurt said. He said it was distracting, but it didn't like he didn't hate it or love it. It just
exactly.
did
It
him.
just didn't look like what I thought the movement should look like with the cutout on the back.
I thought it was kind of cool only because it's like oh, girls always have it.
Mhm.
Okay. It was cool, yes.
And it
Yeah.
would be too much red otherwise.
I don't know. I thought it
Never
made
too
him
much
look
red.
kind of boxy. Like I didn't think it really helped show off his line and movement throughout the ice. I thought it kind of made
Listen,
him
he's
look a
got a
little more
beautiful back.
square.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not hating
No,
on his
it's
back.
not. We're not hating on it. I just think it didn't elevate their look on the ice.
But you know, with them, like they're always going to have another costume or two.
Yeah.
So we don't have to get married to the look or anything, I think.
I mean, they have five for the rhythm dance.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah.
I did like their rhythm dance costume though.
Listen, you have like
They
a not
debuted.
grin on your face about this. Was it Paul? Was it Paul in the costume that really did it for you?
I liked that it was different. And
Okay.
I had heard that they had a couple of rhythm dance. I didn't know they had five. I had heard they had a couple. So it's probably the only time we see this. And
Mhm.
it's kind of perfect for Skate Canada.
I
You know, like
will
I don't think
say
they're going to wear this costume at Worlds, and that's fine. But I
it's so
think it's
hard because
cute.
they're competing in a fashion competition with Madison Chalk,
Yeah.
right? Which I wouldn't want to have to do.
That's true.
The one thing I'll say is, and Piper and Paul have never been my favorite team, mostly because of like lines, right? But they did come at this year with a little bit more assertive, like an assertive quality that Chalk and Bates don't have. Chalk and Bates seem to be a little bit reserved this year in their programs and in their approach. And they went all in with those costumes
Yeah.
and they're doing the swimmer, like the swimming,
Yeah.
and like even if it's not my taste, I respect that they are going for it, right?
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
And it feels like last year their free dance felt a little bit like they were trying to be like other teams. And this year it feels fully them. Like they figured out who they are, they know what they
Mhm.
want. And I appreciate that. And I love their quirkiness.
That's interesting because I kind of felt the opposite. I feel like the free dance kind of lacks a point of view or like reason to the dance. And I
Okay.
was going to say that I think they work a little bit better when they have like a storyline piece or like music that carries them, like the Evita or last year with the Wuthering Heights. But
That's a
So I think the weakness in the free dance as of now is that they had a program that was maybe 3 minutes and they're trying to make it 4, right? I don't know how long it
Yeah.
was on Stars. And I felt like the music extended rather than built, right? So when you structure a program, right, you want the music to have an arc. And I thought that the music lacked an arc towards the end of it. Therefore, the program somewhat lacks an arc. But ice dance free dances change, right? So I feel like it
yeah.
I
nothing's
feel like the
concrete.
program is there, but I didn't think that it didn't build anywhere towards the end. There wasn't like a big conclusion. So I just felt like stretching from 3 to 4 minutes, they may need to, I don't know who their music editor is. I don't know if they work with Hugo or whatnot, but like, maybe work on adding the music, spacing it out a little different, just because I didn't feel like it built. And there are different things that they can add to the music to make.
Yeah, that's hard. And because I saw it as a program, and I encourage you, if you're watching, like go watch if you can find it on YouTube, it's so perfect. It's like it's a little bit old school ice dance where it's simple and really elegant and just from front to back gorgeous. So it's hard to make that into a free dance. It's like
With
making
all the
exhibition
requirements,
program into
yeah.
a short program. It doesn't give you the same magic.
Yeah. So what did you make of Marjorie and Zach doing Austin Powers? I have to say, I groaned when I heard they were going to do Austin Powers. Like other teams are doing it this year. We've seen it. I was also alive for Austin Powers when we went to see it in the movies. Like I think I saw 1, 2, and 3 in the theaters, right? I liked it. I was disappointed that they had the trip and fall. I loved that she said that shit happens afterwards. Like that was her react. I'm very interested in her. Her hair
Yes, I
changes
agree.
every year. Her hair color changes, so she looks completely different. She's looking really good right now.
Yeah.
And I felt that their free dance, I'm liking the style for them. I felt like they need more power. I did feel the difference between them and the top teams at Worlds last year was that it looked, at least from watching it on TV, that they have flow and speed, but they don't have the continuous power that maybe Piper and Paul have throughout their program. Like it just seemed maybe slightly smaller and less like assertive, right? Like they had less speed that I wanted,
Yeah.
and their patterns may be a little bit smaller. So I felt like that's kind of one area that they could improve. And this being their first competition out, I think that's where they're at a deficit compared to other teams because Piper and Paul are always prepared. Like I really, even if I don't
Yes.
like Piper and Paul's material all the time, I always respect that one, they work on classical dance technique and you can see it. And two, they're always well prepared for every competition.
Yes.
Always. Right. And
Yes.
Chalk and Bates have often shown up at Skate America a couple of times visibly less prepared, right? And hoping to peak later in the season. But then you're at the competition, you're wondering if you were prepared enough. I never feel that way with Piper and Paul. Like I always trust that they're going to do a really
That's very true.
solid job. And I really respect them as athletes for that. So yeah, it's just kind of like the difference. So Nolan, what did you make of Marjorie and Zach?
I mean, I feel like you kind of nailed a lot of what I was gonna say. Like, I feel that they have the freshness. I know Alissa may not agree or may not think that they're like the one of the top teams right now, but I feel like they are the top dance team in the world right now for me personally. I think they just have something that the top three don't. The top three kind of feel a little bit lethargic, a little tired. They don't really have anything new or interesting that I am seeing that can push the sport of dance. And while I will say The Sound of Silence isn't groundbreaking music for figure skating, I think they have a unique quality about them that makes the music sing in a different tune. And especially with last year too, I think they're kind of building on that like emotional Carl Hugo type of
Mm.
um, composition that works for them. I think they've kind of found a style that works, and now they're going to push with it for like the next couple of years towards the Olympics. So
yeah, I'm curious if Fear and Gibson will continue, because I think after these Olympics, it will be really interesting to watch those two teams compete with each other, to see what they do. I think part of the problem in ice dance is just these teams have been around for so long that, yeah, you're right. Like, we've seen most of what they're going to do and we're not surprised, right? And we know them so well, which is good and bad, because the good part is that we know them, and the bad part is that we're not surprised by much of what they come up with from year to year. It's not like so different. So yeah.
Speaking of different, the French team,
yeah,
I enjoyed them very much.
All right. You
But
like
you
the
know,
rhythm dance or the free dance? What was that? Like,
I enjoyed all of the rhythm dances. Like when I heard that this style was going to be the rhythm dance this year, I'm like, we're in for a crop of bad rhythm dances. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It felt a little bit more like a show than most. Like it really was just a big show. But you know, because the style of ice dance has been so lyrical since, you know, Scott and Tessa and Gabby and Guillaume, like that sort of style of dance has been what everyone tries to do. So it's nice to take, you know, a sharp right turn from that and have everybody, because also skating fast and quick with those movements is hard.
it is hard. Yeah.
So, and it's entertaining. I really enjoyed all the rhythm dances, which I rarely sit through all of them.
Nolan shares your opinion on ice dance, by the way.
But I also think
Yeah.
that ice dance has been working really hard at making things like choreographic slides or choreographic assisted jumps or whatever. Like they've been trying to make crowd pleaser things as part of their requirements. So it's a little bit more interesting choreographically than like watching the same 7 elements in a short program. Like it can get boring.
Well, you probably have like an interesting perspective on dance too, because you grew up training in Michigan. You were surrounded by so many freaking dance teams for so long, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, was every local show just like inundated with an Igor Spielbahn dance team or a Krilo?
No, we had, I mean, I guess I can't even answer that question. I guess I just don't remember. But also, like I trained with a lot of ice dancers when Pasquale and Angelica were at DSE. So often Jeremy and I were on the ice with teams. So we kind of, but I felt like even back when I was competing, ice dance was a little bit more creative.
Okay.
Or more diverse.
Yeah. Well, because I think
yeah.
everybody followed Papadakis and Cizeron after they did that style.
But
Everybody went to Montreal. I'm sorry?
Tessa and Scott and Marilyn Charlie, like when they were competing, and you still had a lot of Russian style competition, and then they both brought something new. So I felt like there was a lot of different things in ice dance, and then everyone wanted to be Gabby and Guillaume.
Yeah. Marilyn, Charlie, and Tessa and Scott, like, while they had the same coaches, and I think that Marina always had like a very classy approach, their programs were different from each other.
Yeah.
And they both had a theme. But I think that both teams were very invested in their material. And
I know that they were.
Tell like teams are given material, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think that Piper and Paul clearly have a very big input in what they create. And I think Madison Chalk obviously has a point of view in what she wants to do. So yeah. Did you see the British team last week?
You know what? I didn't. I went to go watch Maddie and Evan to see how I felt they compared to Piper and Paul, but I didn't get to watch the British team. This was like,
well, you opened yourself up to that comparison. What is your take on?
Okay, I think that Maddie and Evan didn't look ready. And like you said, Piper and Paul are always ready. So we know that both programs are probably going to change and grow and they'll get better. So I think that Piper and Paul are ahead of Maddie and Evan right now. That's obvious in just like preparation. And I do like the style that Maddie and Evan chose because I think it's great. Evan looks great with that style. But it doesn't look good yet. Like it doesn't look world champion yet because they're not ready. That's okay. It's Skate America. Like people aren't ready.
The rhythm of take 5 is really tough for some of the skating. So their 1 foot, it's going to be really hard to match that to make it look effective.
Yeah.
And that's going to take a lot of work. I don't know, like what, not that they're not going to do it, but it's going to be a real challenge. So if they can pull it off, I think the music will, like, they'll all work together, be something really kind of iconic, but it could go the other way. So it's a risk.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see their 11-song rhythm dance?
I didn't like it.
Yeah,
There.
I think 11 so I didn't know it was 11 songs, but I think that's why I didn't like it.
it's a little much.
I respect the idea that you want to do a history of dance. I get it because we have all seen those compilation videos on Facebook or
Is
on
that why they
YouTube.
did that?
I'm sorry?
Is that why they did 11 songs?
Well, they wanted to do like a history of dance, and they actually researched some of the different dances that they did and showed some of it, which I think is really cool. However, I think when you have the YMCA in your program, it makes it seem cheesier maybe than the idea is, because they were doing some really unique stuff and be from the 50s and 60s, and then you get to the YMCA and it becomes campy. So
Well, I didn't know this, and maybe that makes more sense. Like you have to know that, but their program was what I was worried that this rhythm dance idea would bring. Just a bunch of
I
dance
do feel,
didn't make sense.
I was gonna say, I do feel like it kind of is just like a amateur mixtape guy, like mixing around like different types of music from the decades. Like it did not feel like it should be a rhythm dance for a world champion team.
It should be in a show, and they should be changing, like their costume should be changing each music.
Yeah. Remember when Plishenko, or not Plishenko, it was a other Russian skater. It was a couple years ago. They did like an homage to like Plishenko, Zakitova, all them, and they like ripped off the costume like one by one. It kind of felt like that. Like,
That's what they should do with this. I
yeah.
mean, could you imagine we need Jeff Billings for that one.
yeah. Okay, so what did you make of the American teams? So this was a little bit of a competition between Zingis and Kolesnik and Brady and Somerville, because Brady and Somerville went to Worlds over Zingis and Kolesnik. And Zingis and Kolesnik lost some ground, particularly at Skate Canada last year. And because they had a lower ranking, they started earlier at nationals because they went by international rankings. So they were at a deficit at US nationals. They never caught up. It was interesting to me here. Brady and Somerville repeated their free dance from last year, but they had a huge mistake in the free dance. To me, I think Zingis and Kolesnik have a lot of freshness. She's still transitioning from single skating to ice dance, and sometimes you can see it more than others. But I do think that they have a strong point of view this year that's kind of carrying them. I'm curious.
I mean, I enjoyed all of their short dances, to
Mhm.
be honest. And let's see, the Browns are fantastic.
Yes.
I think that their skating ability, I think that they haven't found quite the vision of themselves on the ice yet, but I think their skating ability
Mhm.
matches the other two American teams completely.
Yeah. Yes.
Although Ian Somerville, like I can't take my eyes off of him when he's skating because he's so good with his feet.
Yes.
He's really strong. But I think that the Zingis and Kolesnik, I think that they are still a little new,
Yeah.
but they're going to end up on top. You can
Yes.
see it. You can see the path that they have.
Yeah. She just has to keep adapting from singles to dance.
It takes a while. It takes a while. So I'm not like expecting it, but I was even watching them last year, I was surprised at how good she was already.
It's so unfortunate, but like Ian is so good on his feet, and he's so like agile and can
Yeah.
move, right?
Comfortable.
Comfortable.
So good on
And
his
his partner just doesn't have that same ability, though she can match him in other aspects of skating. But when he's like grooving and really getting into the music, she looks really stiff by comparison.
I don't think you could find a partner that could match him. That's the problem. You know,
Yeah.
he's just so good at that
It would be like if Kurt skated pairs.
no one can keep up.
Right? Like who would do that? But I have to say, I really liked the Tashlers more and more this season. Every time I see them, I've always really respected them, but I think that they're coming into their own as a style. Yeah.
Plus, they're stuck in that boat of being brother sister. And I
Yes.
think they're dealing with it. Like, I think their choices are really good. Like the Cares, you know, like you have to go one direction when you're brother sister team. And I think that they've found that a little bit. I like it.
I mean, their
Did you like
skating
the
qualities. Sorry.
Did you like the Tashlers? Was that no,
Me?
Len, I was asking if
Oh,
you
sorry. Yeah, I was gonna go on. I was just saying their skating quality is so great. If I was saying that dance was like a fair judge sport, I would probably have them second, like in this event, if you look at how they skate. And it was really contrasting between them because in the rhythm dance and the free dance, they went before Zingis and Kolesnik, and I think they went after them in the rhythm dance. And it was just like night and day. Like you saw Zingis get like a huge score, and then you see the Tashlers come right after with their big open skating, and they're below them, and you're just like, this is just not like not a fair sport at all. But I think that the past 2 years they had the tribute to their father and then the climate change program, and it just kind of felt like a little bit of a mismatch for them musically. But what they have chosen this year, I think, it kind of elevates them in a way where they can do something a little bit not romantic but more lyrical without it kind of being as determined as like romantic with like a brother sister team. It kind of allows them to open into a different style. So
yeah, I thought, and I have to say, the Lopareva and Broussard, when they go into the part of their rhythm dance about the Russians, it gets me every time. Even though like we know it's coming, it's so good. It's just, they're fun. Her hair is fun. Their look is fun.
The
They
free dance is fierce. Like
yes.
although I have to say that she looked just ever so slightly checked out in this particular free dance, because I saw the one from, I don't know what competition they did. I don't remember. And I was really blown away by it. And she just looked a little bit like this, slightly. So it was interesting. Like her energy wasn't quite matching what I saw previously from her, which happens, it's life. But I was like, it needed that little bit extra that I saw from the last time I watched this free dance.
All right, so we come with you for blunt, shady opinions that are said in very elegant ways. What are you making of Deanna's programs this year? She's reigning world champion. She's a queen, right? What?
Yeah. Remind me of the short program.
Okay, already
Crazy in Love.
Didn't
Crazy in
remember
Love.
the short program. This is not a good sign.
Oh.
They're doing slowed down Crazy in Love. It's actually, yeah, it's from the 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack.
I think
They
that
had
both
the
of those
moaning.
have potential,
Yeah.
Okay.
but the problem is they look like a pair team. They don't look like, when Lori Nickel gave the tennis pair team that like brilliant program that was art and not a pair program.
Yes.
That's what they need to win worlds.
Okay, that's an interesting way to put it. I had like a different gut reaction to all of it.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it doesn't stand out. And I think if they want to win the Olympics, they need that program that sets them apart, that has a different tempo and a different setup and doesn't look like a pair program.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I thought the music doesn't really bring out the tenacity and fire in Deanna. I think that the short's just a little slow and lethargic. Not her, the music. And last year she had the French song into free and the vampire concept. And I thought that really worked for her because it really allowed her to go out and have like an attacking persona and like personality to go out there and do everything, like get her job done. And I just think the water, the free skate about like the water or the wave or whatever it is, it kind of just lulls a little bit in the middle and you kind of zone out, and it doesn't give her that driving force to push through. And I think that part could have been why we saw some of the mistakes, but I think that the music might be a little bit of a mismatch this year.
So I think my take on it is like the water is not bad.
It wasn't bad. I thought it was kind of a cool concept.
It's a cool concept. It's very conceptual, right? But when I think of Deanna, like if you think about like personalities as a color, she's a red. I'm a red. She's a red, right? I think David Wilson said Alyssa's a purple. There's like more beneath the surface that's like hidden, right? She's doing something that's conceptual, but it doesn't bring out her passion and her emotions, right? And I think even like if you watch her program that Nolan, like the Kerry Lotion when she did this in singles, right? Like that was that David Arkenstone, but that music had a lot of emotion to it. And it had like
a driving force.
Driving force. And last year, both programs had like force and like passion to it. Like that, the short was like fierce and still had like something to it, right? And the free had like power and then like and like she was so driven to win worlds and she, and it like all kind of came together. And I think that this year's music lacks an emotional hook to really kind of carry them through the end of that program.
Agreed, but having said that, I think that they have a better connection with each other this year. Like they look at each other and have that
Well, they have a shared dog, Alissa. I think that they might
Their dog.
things may have changed between them. I don't know. Yeah.
But I think also like we talked to them, or Kurt talked to them on Stars about that, and about the connection looking at you. And I thought that I mean, you don't, when you do Stars on Ice or when you do shows, you get to practice more things than just landing your jumps and doing your elements. And so it is that connection with the audience comes and you see people who go on tour and you see them become better performers or better connection as a team. And I think that they do have that, not saying that it's because of Stars on Ice, but I see a difference from last year to this year with that connection.
And I think Deanna would like us to point out that she added a new lift and a new throw in the program this summer. So she might be working out the kinks of that and kind of get the timing down. So maybe we need to, we shouldn't jump on it.
I mean, it's Skate Canada. I don't expect them to skate. They're gunning for worlds. Like the people who skate clean often early in the season are not the ones who are on the podium at the year before at Worlds. That's just how the season works. So, that the fact that they have mistakes here is completely normal.
Completely fine.
So there are some aspects in the free that I'm really liking the more time that we saw it. The first time I saw the free, I didn't think much of it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like, I saw like it develop more, like the parts of the wave where they're doing like the mini lift and she's up and down and around and your dog is very cute. What's your dog's name?
It's Rocky.
I'm a fan. So yeah, like I thought it was
dog,
but
I think the wave is growing.
The wave is growing. Yeah. Maybe the program needs more of a hurricane at the end. If there's just
or like oh my goodness, in Little Mermaid when Ursula comes and it's, like maybe we need a little more character. But sometimes when you have a program, if you have a certain type of personality or something motivates you on the ice, and then you have a program which is a different style, sometimes it's harder to skate clean.
Yes.
And it sounds esoteric to say that in a way, because jumps are jumps and elements are elements, but people have different motivations or different, like, when you listen to music before you go out and work out or whatever, like that you have a certain thing to motivate you. And if your music is the opposite of that,
or you're actually changing my music right now because I don't like jumping to it. So like, I don't like, like when you're nervous to jump and like, I find it helpful if like the music is driving. So it helps you. Rather than if the music is lyrical and about the ocean, maybe it doesn't assist in that way. Or maybe it calms you down. But for me, I like that amp. Like I skated to Pagliacci one year and I thought it was like almost like exciting to jump on the, like da 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 bam, like you got to do it and it makes you alive, right? Like it gets you going. So yeah, I thought that interesting, but yeah, the other pairs I thought were
there.
They were there, and they were there,
Every pair program, I mean, my beef with figure skating competitions right now is that every single program is the same. And by that, I mean, like everybody has the same elements in the same order.
Yeah.
Because the elements are hard and because what everyone is doing is so hard, I understand it, but it just makes it boring.
And when are we seeing you in IDI? When are you touring, Alissa? What shows are you doing?
In February and March.
So then why did we start the season in October if we're doing it in February?
Because we created the pieces.
And then we're just going to forget them for 6 months? Or like, what are we doing? Like, what's happening here? Like,
we're doing it in February. Well, we'll do rehearsals in February and then going through in March.
Where are you going on tour? Are you coming to Jersey again?
We're only doing a few on the East Coast, I think, because we're going to Midwest and West Coast and then back like Colorado Springs and Sun Valley and stuff, I think.
Alyssa, I want to take the class. I'm very upset we don't have the Dick Button Festival this year. I want to do the Doug Webster Edge class, you know, where we do the 3 turns. And what do we like lean towards the sun? Is it like where we lean out of the circle? What's the cue? Like, come on. I'm so ready for it, you know.
All right, we'll have to make it happen.
I've been like several times to this Edge class. Like
You have been, you've been good.
Listen, I'm not kidding. It's like it's everything, you know. It's
I
for
love
people.
doing the Edge classes.
It's like us, you know. And you always you run it, yeah. So okay, let's talk about the singles. Oh, I'm really worried about Jason Brown. We need to talk about it. Yes.
Okay, can I say something really quickly? I've been noticing this when he jumps. I think Jason is fantastic, and I really love that he is competing, because when I talk about everyone being the same, I don't think that he is. And I know what he does looks easy because he makes it look easy, but it's hard. Like what he does is very hard. But when he goes to jump, it feels like, because his back is so straight in general, like he's got such a nice arch to his back. When he goes to jump, it gets more arched, and then it breaks his, like, it makes him slower in the air. It makes his quickness of his feet. Like, it feels like
Okay.
his back is too much here when he goes to jump, and it breaks the connection, and then he's slow, and then he can't communicate with his feet, and they're not fast.
Okay.
Like technically, I've been seeing that the last few years, and it feels more and more like he tries harder now, so he gets back here just a little bit. And then, like, not that he's not physically capable of it, because everything else he does on the ice is amazing, but that's, to me, like, it looks like something has broken there a little bit, jump wise.
So I had a question about if you've noticed this, but he's super flexible, right? Through his hip, like multi-directional flexibility that few
Yeah.
people have, right?
Which makes you more inconsistent as a jumper, because every time you do something, it's a little bit different. Like the way your body works,
Okay. Yes.
your body is inconsistent in how it moves each time. So of course, jumps are harder to be consistent.
So like I like to watch Nancy Kerrigan jump, right? Because she has
Mhm.
some of the best Lucy technique of her
Mm.
jumps. She learned from Evie, right? But she does this really great technique, especially like her air position is really clean, right? Like, and her feet are really perfect in the air. And like her rhythm is so nice. But she's not flexible like Jason, right? And what
Yeah.
I notice, and there's like a snap to her, like a
Yeah.
natural snap. If you watch her jumps, like, yes, people that like love Tanya Harding's power in her jumps, they're amazing. If you want to watch a really technically correct jump, like if you watch Nancy do her triple toe, it's like, whoa, or her Lutz or her flip, right?
Yeah.
Or her sow. Mao and Marai were also very flexible, like Jason
Yeah.
is, and they struggled with the under rotations. Like, does that slow you down in the air?
I think it does. And I think, like I said, when, say, every time your leg swings through for an axle takeoff, it's just slightly different because your hip socket is looser and your, range of motion is bigger, that your leg has more options as it swings through, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And when your sockets are tight and you're not flexible, then it's only like it's the same every single time. So every time you enter the jump, you're not even thinking about it, and your leg has the same swing.
Okay.
So it's easier to be consistent because your body just naturally does the exact same thing each time.
So like Calgary's not very flexible, and she's pretty consistent with her jumps relative,
Yeah.
say, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason.
So I think, like,
yeah.
back to Jason, I think what he's doing is phenomenal, but he's lost his ability to jump, and even his ease, unless he's injured, and we don't know that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the layout. There were a lot of layout errors too.
Yeah.
He did 2 double axle sequences.
That
So
he's
I wonder what's going on there with the organization, because it just seems to be a little bit aloof in the air.
The other thing is, we haven't seen Jason on the Grand Prix for a while.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen him not prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, I mean, I know he has hard programs, so it's going to take him longer to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens when you have a program that Roheen creates and he stays true to the choreography of it. It just takes longer. And so that's okay too. I just hope that this is not foreshadowing what's to come.
What I notice is, okay, so oftentimes when people are anxious about the axle, they wait too long to jump. He now waits longer than Junwat Shah used to.
Yeah.
Right? And you can see when he like should go, and the axle's definitely in his head and he's anxious about it. And it seems like he's completely lost his timing of the
Yeah.
takeoff. So I think he needs to get that back. It was an issue last season as well. But this year it looks like it's really been a problem. So I don't know if he's injured or not, or just what exactly is going on. But it's almost like a skater's avoiding it, right? Like the longer you wait in that sense. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I respect him for pushing. And you've skated to this music, and I really liked your number that you did with Ksenia to this, right? I don't know that I love the Spiegel and Spiegel for Jason.
First of all, it doesn't work unless you're clean.
Yes.
Like as a free program, obviously, number one, if and when, and like I said, like when, because what Rohin gives him is so difficult. And we don't see it, and I mean, we know because we're skaters, but like a lot of the audience doesn't understand how much harder what he does is. It's going to take him longer to get to the point where it looks like we expect it to look, or like the intention is. So I think that again, we haven't seen him this early in the season, but also it's a really, really hard program to do as a free program. Like it worked for us because we stood still on the ice for some of it. You can't do that in a free program. You can't take the time to make a moment because there are too many elements.
Yeah. He had more errors. He had more errors than he did the first time he did the program. So I just don't know if he was nervous or if he was injured or not. But it made me wonder if he can be competitive this year or what's going to happen. Like I'm more anxious about it. And I think I think we'll know more by the time he does the second Grand Prix about like which way this is going.
Does he have some time between this one and the next? I don't know which one he's doing next.
In Japan, I believe, for the second one. So that's 2 weeks-ish.
Okay. Yeah. I think what Jason has to bring to the sport is so special that I really hope that he can get the jumps back because, he brings something that no one else has. And so the level of skate on it has to be higher to match him.
I know that Tracy is always like performing for the camera when she speaks to him, but this time it was so glaring where I really wouldn't respond well to this. Like if I don't do something well, I really don't want you to tell me that it was good when it wasn't. Like, because then I feel like you're pitying me, right? Like, especially in that moment, I'm really not gonna. You're better
more of a Marjorie.
It's better like to say nothing, right? Like, and Tracy was like, amazing. It's really hard, and I was just like, I probably would take that the other way if but they look like they live on their wonderful planet together, like where they're getting lattes and doing Pilates and like they have their own rhythm. But yeah, like if you had a bad program, what would you want a coach to say? Listen.
I mean, my coaches would tell me like it is usually. You can, Jason, just they're not going to sugarcoat anything because you got to go home and work on whatever you messed up.
But like in the moment when you get off the ice, what would they say?
Because cry is not a fantastic time to talk about the program in general.
Yes.
At least not for me. It was like, just don't say anything. And then when we get to private, then you tell me whatever you want. Like,
yeah.
The kissing cry is awkward. So awkward.
It's very performative, right?
Feels like it. And then when you don't want to perform it, then you're just like, I'm just sitting here waiting. Because I don't feel like making something up for the camera.
Yeah. But sometimes you get as a viewer, it can be so great because sometimes people's personalities just come out.
You know what else is fun is to watch the coach and skater interact when you're live at an event and they're like on the 20-minute practice before the competition starts. Like to watch the coach and skater interaction is so much fun. Because some of them are fantastic and you can really tell like you can tell what's going on. And some of them, like the skater is so over the coach is so over the skater, and you're like, oh, something's going on.
When Gracie was with Frank in 2017, the year that he fired her at Nationals, and people were really shocked. But if you would see them interact on the practice, it was not shocking that this like event was like she was ignoring him. She threw her jacket at him. She was like, it was a mess the whole week. And It was great. It was just like event television. And
Oh.
you know, Raphael's always fun to watch for all of his antics. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to know. Yuka and Jason, like Yuka, maybe she's like quietly saying what she thinks, but she has a good demeanor and poker face to her. Like,
Yeah.
mhm. Like if she needs to kick you in the butt, like how would she go about saying it in the moment?
She would say it very quietly,
Yeah.
very respectfully, and you'd be afraid of her.
Like what would she say? She like,
It's hard to say, but like I don't know because they always said the right. I always felt like they said the right things at the right time. For
okay.
me, for me personally, anyways, it was just like it wasn't whatever they said wasn't like for other people. You know, like when you are saying people perform,
Like Raphael.
right,
Yes.
whatever. It's like no, they just knew what we needed at the time.
Mhm.
So it's an awkward. Like I've put students on, and that moment is awkward because you're like, I feel like everyone's listening to me, but what I have to say is personal towards this person and shouldn't be heard by other people. Like it's for
Yeah.
them, you know.
But I love when the coach is mic'd up and we get to watch it.
Still not be that coach. I would hate it.
I know, but like it's so good, right? At some time. But okay, like I used to love any kiss and cry with Nancy and her coaches. Like,
Mm.
yeah, because Nancy also can't help but analyze her program in the kiss and cry, and like her coaches.
It's fun to watch people who go through everything that happened in the program and make the corrections and like talk up the points, and you're like,
Megan,
good on you. But
Yeah.
like it's almost like they can see the program without emotion. And most
Mhm.
people in the kiss and cry are like still processing their emotions.
Yes,
That's interesting.
it's kind of like a car wreck when you get off the ice. You know, like it's like, you know, you're processing everything that happened, whether it was good or bad, and
Yeah.
all of those emotions. Yeah. All right. So, what did you make of June Cha this season? Because some people love the program, other people don't love the music. What is your take on the yelling Spanish lady? Are you on board with this?
It's fine. Whatever he does is
Fine.
fine.
It's fine.
Well, so I like his skating, and I think he has a bigger personality than he lets show on the ice. It's like he hides behind his hair a little bit.
Okay.
Oh,
And I feel
okay.
like I just want a little more from him, but like not skating wise. Like the way he skates across the ice and what he does artistically is fine. Like I love all of that. That I don't care. That doesn't have to change, but like I want to see your face and I want to see you engage with the audience. And I don't, it's like really close,
Hmm.
but he's just relying on his ability to skate and his charm and his good looks without using them.
Well, he's got a lot of charm. He
He
does.
does, but
He
I
does.
like, I just want to see more of that because I like it. I like him and I like his skating. And I feel like the next step for him would just be a little bit more like face.
So John Luke was like being kind of shady when he said this and then was trying to do damage control. But last week he was like, well, maybe Elise is having a technical practice. And like she's not very emotive skater. So, but I felt like June was here to land his jumps in his program,
And that
especially.
might be why his programs are the way they are. It's just so that he can get back the consistency and the points, like the confidence. And that's why there's no face.
We saw him do this program in practice at Neville. It was the best when he did
Yeah.
the free skate.
Okay.
Each time that he's done it in person, it's been good.
Okay.
And I like the costume. I don't know if the costume enhances his movement, if you will. And then Jenny pointed out that the way the program is structured, she like part of it could face the judges more. Like he has this sequence with like a lunge and a
Mhm.
flying leaf, and like it's like facing the wrong direction on the ice, right? Like it needs like an adjustment to kind of
Yeah.
like build more for the camera and for the judges. I like it, but I felt like he was holding back and muted today. Like I felt the jumps were great,
Yeah.
but the performance wasn't as good this time.
The other thing about him is when you watch him live,
Mhm.
the feeling from his skating comes out more than when you watch it. Like it doesn't translate through TV.
Okay.
But when I watched him live, I felt more from him.
Hmm.
And I watched him this time, but maybe he was being very analytical this time.
Yeah. I really like the programs. Um, it's a harder program than like the Batman one. The music did some of the work of the building for him, and um, I really like his skating. In general, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I did notice today the spins got really slow at the end of the program.
Did you notice that a lot of people are struggling with spins this year, and the technical panel is being harder on spins this year?
Do you like that?
But yeah, I like it because I don't have to see 4 ugly variations in every spin now.
Okay.
And it does make spins harder, which I'm fine with.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm fine with not seeing the same ones. I'm not into the difficult exit thing, but I think it makes people more creative,
Okay.
which is fine. Like it doesn't affect, like, a difficult exit does not affect how hard the spin is. So as
Yeah.
a feature, it seems irrelevant, but as a choreographic enhancer to the programs, I like it.
Okay.
But I noticed that the panel was being tough here with spins.
Yeah. It was not his spins at the end of the program. Like I thought, okay, we have to do more full run throughs. Like these
Yeah.
are really getting glacial. But his quad toe was so good, and he's
And the
Which is
sow.
such a bugbear jump for him too.
he's really struggled with the quad toe. The sow is amazing.
Yeah.
But
Always.
what
And
did
the
you?
axle, not as bad
Yeah.
with the setup too. So
Yeah, the axel, he's jumping, and I think the music helps him. Like he has to
Yeah.
jump when the woman is yelling, and he's like
Yeah.
like the rhythm works with him with this music. Okay, I know that you've skated with Ilya Malinin and that you respect that he's trying to improve, but he's very controversial this season with his approach, especially that he has like a fake hoodie on in the short program.
I was actually curious if that was supposed to be a hoodie or if that was an
I think
artistic.
so. Yeah.
Okay. I like his short program.
I do
Okay.
too.
His short program is very like Jeremy Abbott-esque, or Josh Ferris, the one that Jeff Buttle did for Josh Ferris.
Okay.
Like I think it's very
Alyssa, that's way too generous.
sorry.
That's
I
one of like
think
the
that
great short programs of
I'm
all.
talking about style-wise.
No, like
I
he's
see
no
it. I
Jeremy
agree.
Abbott.
I see
But
it.
Alyssa, what are
I'm
you?
not
What,
saying he skates like Jeremy Abbott or Josh Ferris. I'm saying that the style is like those 2 skaters. And I appreciate that he is going for that kind of very classic American male look.
Mhm.
And trying to be artistic. I don't really like the free.
I don't like the free at all.
I liked the short, and I liked some of the cool stuff that he did, and I really think that it is a step up for him. Like it's next level for him, but the
I have
voice singing about those vampires at the beginning of the free program just threw me off.
Yeah. I feel like I can see that when they made the short program, they put in a lot of cool elements that are not, one of his jumps or spins, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of different like things in there to
I like
build
that.
his artistic range,
I
right?
like-
And I appreciate that they're doing it. And I see an attempt to become more artistic with the
Yeah.
short program. I don't see it in the free. The
It
free,
looks like they just threw it away in the free, actually. Like
Yeah.
they said, okay, we're gonna really go for the short, but I don't know, like he didn't try quad axel. He looks injured.
oh,
But I
okay.
don't know if
I
like
think it
sorry,
could
go
be
ahead.
because he was at Skate America last week too. So I think that also could have factored in, because I also noted that I thought he looked a little tired throughout the entire
Sure.
program. Like he wasn't really present. He was just trying to get the job done, kind of like the June in essence, where you're
Mhm.
just trying to get the job done and qualify for the final. I kind of felt it a little more artistically though in the short, and I think
Yeah.
I think he's starting to broaden out a little bit and kind of own his own star quality in a way, and like own it more in the short versus the long. But the long, I think the past 2 weeks have just kind of been a little meh. He'd had a really good performance to it at Lombardia earlier in the year, and I
So
would
much so I thought it was a different program. I thought he changed his free program
yeah
after that. But also like we're talking about someone who's doing what 6 quads in a program. Like of course he's just
yeah
shutting down the artisticness and trying quads in a way that, like we have that choice as skaters. Do you do the technical content to like be at the top, or do you take the artistic route?
Yeah.
And one of
I
them
think
is
he could
working
meet
for
it in the
him.
middle though.
Yeah. I don't like the way that the men's field is going, where it's like these sloppy Benoit or Florent Amodio programs, and like we're really sloppy and jumping for 3.5 minutes, and then we throw in a backflip during the choreographic sequence and do some spins, and like we're
I
kind of throwing around on the ice a little bit. And like,
I think that it's too hard. I think that the men's event, like I think it's too hard for the men to be artistic.
Mhm.
And I get it. Like I don't get it. I've never done a quad, like let alone a quad in a program or 5 quads in a program. But I can imagine how hard that is. It's a completely different level of difficulty than it is.
Yeah, there was also a guy here, our good friend Litnitsev, who did a program. I believe it went from the Nutcracker to Carol of the Bells to
Fall on me.
Fall on Me, and I thought, what's happening here? We like I can't even begin to
It was like old school Russian Plushenko sort of program.
And Chris
That's
was
compliment.
so funny because like he just goes in the first minute, he's like, well, there's just no transitions in that. And I said at the end, he said, I tweeted out, he was basically telling you this program was dreadful without saying it was dreadful.
Yeah, that was a good commentary by him. It was like,
Yeah.
no transitions in this program.
Yes, dude, what did Kurt think of that program? Hello.
No, the, Vladimir what, where's he from?
The guy that did,
Azerbaijan.
Hi, everybody.
the
And I
skater
mean,
that did,
everybody.
hello. Kurt, there was a program that did the Nutcracker and then Fall on Me, and there was some other Christmas music in the middle of it.
Russian boy.
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay, they didn't commentate it.
All right.
Didn't
How are you
make the
liking
highlights.
Ilya's programs?
I think they suit him, and I think that when you're young, that's really important.
Okay.
Because, honesty comes through to people, integrity, and I think he had a lot to do with the choices of the music, and he
Okay.
seems to believe in them. So if you believe a joke is funny, you're halfway there, you know, and other people will laugh with you. So I like them, and I think that they're a really good step in his growth and maturity as a person and as an artist. I think it's pretty good. I think they're pretty cool. I don't know if you like it. I'm nervous now.
I liked the short better than the free.
Sure.
Yeah.
The
The free was a jump drill.
The short was the sort of.
No, I'm not sure
Oh.
if I which one I like better.
I think that
The
I was just saying that the free, I feel like he sort of lets go of the artisticness because he has to do 5 quads or 6 quads or how many ever quads. Like he just sort
But
of
he
lets
builds
go.
moments. Like Sandra Bezic says, you need moments. You need little moments to stitch it all together. The big back bend, which I'm gonna try, you know, as he leans and builds, is a moment. His raspberry is a moment. Even the backflip, like his physicality creates moments. And like I said, I think it's the integrity. I like the blood. I don't know, maybe I
like
said
the
it's
blood
too
too.
creepy.
You like the blood? To me, it looked like Alexei Romanov got like attacked before he went out in Lillehammer. Like a little, I don't know. Like, and then it depends if you like Romanov's point of view or not. Yeah, that's kind
That's so funny.
of.
That was pretty cool. So have you guys spoken about the backflip yet?
What do you like the
No.
backflip, Kurt? You actually had a backflip that you hid from us for many years, but
20.
yeah.
Yeah, I fell practicing a takeoff. Like Scott Hamilton was trying to change my takeoff, which it needed changing. And I picked, and my body just got too far back. And when I fell, I dislocated my shoulder and did a whole bunch of stuff. Like a rib went out. It was not good. And then Sandra Bezic came to me and said, in the United States, Scott has his backflip. In Canada, Orchard has a backflip, and you don't need to be known for your backflip. You're more than that. And I was like, okay, just do what Sandra says. So 20 years later, I wanted to redo one for my baby and one more for the road by Scott Hamilton, choreographed by Sandra Bezic for the anniversary of Stars and Ice.
Okay.
How does he end it?
Backflip?
Backflip. So 20 years later, I got it back. So I did it for what, 5 years, 6 years? No, I did it for 6 or 7 more years. So the last one was in 2023 on June 2nd at exactly 9:02 in the evening, where I didn't quite get over and kind of bumped my face on the ice and blood came out. So real blood, not I'm a vampire.
Not the
That was my
Romanov
last one.
blood.
I ended with a bang.
Would you have done the backflip in your competitive program? Well, you did a quad 3 minutes into your program in Calgary, so you're not really normal.
Look, that was my coach's idea. He said, if you're having fun and it's going well, then go ahead and throw the quad at the end. That was the plan. I almost landed it.
That's pretty cool.
And I'm like, I remember skating in Calgary going, I think he won't be mad if I throw it. I think I've skated well enough, you know, like, yeah.
That's motivation.
You know, we talk about you a lot during my lessons. Because I'm working on double sow, and Paul really likes your sow entrance, and he likes that you wait.
My old one, not anything last 20 years, but yes, it was good.
Yeah. Well, you know, Paul's very serious and be like, you know what? Watch Kurt Browning, you know, and the way he goes into, you know, the set
Did he
entrance.
say my last name?
Yeah, of course he says your last name. I think he says your
Oh.
last name. Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
that's so funny. I call him Polly. Just look at Kurt Browning's like, he's so
You know, he's always very like eating his,
Yeah.
you know,
He's proper.
He's very proper.
Sophisticated. Yeah.
So
And
my
then-
mom was very upset that you weren't at the figures competition because she met Paul Wiley and she goes, "Why isn't Kurt Browning here?" You know,
I have right here, believe it or not. Ugh. We get close enough to the camera.
okay.
No toe pick. These are what I came second at Worlds in.
All right.
So this was basically, I only had 2 pair of figure boots my whole life. So this is the second one. So these babies have seen a lot.
Okay.
So yeah, I was going to come back and do some figures, and it just
Yeah, he got these
life got in the way.
resharpened. He got these resharpened.
I think Alissa would do figures very well as well.
Yeah, she's getting better than I am. Darn it.
Could you imagine Liz Schmidt and Alyssa in the same
Oh,
competition?
yes.
Like that'd be great.
That'd be fun.
I
We practice them every day, but when we start like little figures on
Little
the ice.
ones, little babies. So I didn't quite get from you guys
Oh, the
how you
backflip
feel
thing.
about the backflip. Is it a good thing?
I am.
I didn't answer you. I think it is because look, I did a seminar the other day and all the kids wanted was a backflip. You could do a triple axel and they'd be like, cool. But you do a backflip and they're like freaking out. Brian Orso once said backflip kept me in professional skating 10 years longer, kind of making fun, but kind of serious. And so everyone loves the backflip. And so what's going to happen? I'm worried that somebody's going to get hurt, right? Because everyone's going to take shortcuts. Ilya could do it off the ice. He had ropes. He took his time. He had lots of other cool tricks before he tried the backflip. He did it right. And I'm worried that coaches out there won't be patient, wait till the student is strong enough, can learn it off ice from a gymnast, make sure they're very safe. The coaches have to wear helmets and face gear if they're going to hold the rope, because Elvis kicked his coach in the head. So, I mean, it's very seriously a situation that can turn ugly. And that's why in 1970, whatever it was, Terry Kubicka was the last one to do it legally. And then, so I'm worried, but it's cool. I mean, skating's getting cooler if there's a backflip in it.
And it's not worth something per se, so I don't think people are like
Feel rushed
to like,
get it?
oh, it's a 10-point jump element. Like, no, it's just cool factor. It ups your cool factor, I guess.
I
Right?
think it has to
You guys are
work with the
doing it.
program. I always thought it was weird in the 90s when some of your pro friends would do these like lyrical numbers and still do the backflip.
Ave Maria.
Yes, like it was strange, Kurt, right? Like sometimes there were some Robin Cousins or Scott or Brian Orser, like they did it
Brian
in
Orser,
every
yeah.
program, no matter what,
I
right?
would tease Brian all the time. You put a backflip in Ave Maria? He's like, I put a backflip in everything, baby. And the power of the backflip.
So-
We'll see where it goes. Carol Lane, was it? Somebody made a really good point. In 3 or 4 years, are we just going to have 18 backflips? And then it's not cool anymore. Then it's just, a couple of ugly moments in Ave Maria. It's and at these Olympics, there might not be too many, but 6 years from now, are all the skaters going to feel like they have to do it? I am worried. I'm officially worried, and I'm excited at the same time. And since it's out of my hands, I can do as many interviews as I can, keep telling everyone, please be safe and please take your time. Well, how do you guys feel?
Well, Nolan, do you like the backflip?
I think it's easy to understand for a non-skating fan. I think it's easy for them to get. It's crowd appealing versus like a jump. I like it in Adams and Ilya's. I wouldn't say it's my favorite thing to watch,
No.
but I think it adds something to the program for him. And I
Do
think
you
it
think
works.
it might add a few more people in the stands?
Yeah, I do. That's what I'm saying. I think it's easy for the non-skating viewer to get. It's got tons of views on social media like TikTok and Instagram too. So I think it's good. I think it's good for the younger generation to bring them into the sport as well. So
Well, Kurt, if we're going to talk about that, don't you think that if we let up on because you are someone that has fast feet, right? So don't you think that if you did footwork that had fast feet and moved across the ice and didn't have to do like a million of these like longer, more difficult turns, in that sense, like, don't you think that that might also bring people back if we like added variety?
Nice avoiding of the question, because you never answered it, but
I'm indifferent on the backflip. I think
he doesn't like it.
It works when it works, and it's
one of the cool things about my generation is that footwork was actually about who could be doing really cool things with their feet, and whoever influenced the audience with their footwork kind of won the footwork, and it was a part of the bigger picture, not 2.2 points of the bigger picture. So I think that it had a lot more to do with who was the best skater in what impression you left with your footwork. Now, of course, Yegedin did like the simple toe pick jab step thing, which was very effective, I thought. Super easy. I teach it to adult skaters. But that didn't matter that it was easy. It mattered what showmanship you had as well. The Scotty turns, once you learn them, or as we call them, the American step, not that hard, but to do it well, hard. I think it used to be more creative in the footwork sequence because everybody had their own strength and they brought that. Now everyone is trying to do the same strength, and who can do it better? It's a subtle difference, and everyone's painting the same color. All their houses the same color. So yes, I agree with you. I think that it would be really fun to have a free step without rules and to see what skaters came up with.
Like, I don't think we
have
need
to
levels.
quantify everything now. We have to justify everything then.
I don't think that we really need levels to accurately assess, like, if Alyssa's going to go do a spin. I don't think that I need to like have a level to tell me that she's the best spinner, right? And I don't think with footwork you need the levels as well. And then what really gets me is like, I think when you skated, like the earlier groups of skaters still had things that made them enjoyable to watch. But when you have to watch them now and they just use the footwork as a rest, it really is bad for the audience.
Do you think that's what's happening?
Sometimes the skaters are really breathing. Like, if they're going to do a jump drill and they have to do a footwork sequence, that they kind of throw the footwork sequence away. It's very slow.
It's either they throw the step sequence away or it becomes the only moment in the program when they have personality.
Yeah.
That's what bugs me.
I see that more often.
Is that it's like no face, just jump. Like, here's the choreography, maybe look up once, and then all of a sudden they come alive in the step sequence, and then as soon as the step sequence is over, it's back to and that bugs me more.
There's 2 spins and then the program ends.
That is true, actually. It's the same.
Yes. They need to change that, right? Like, they need to change the fact that every program feels the same. It has the same structure. Does
anybody feel like you're missing the one jump in the long for the men?
Instead of 8 versus 7?
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Watching skating and going, oh, I really missed that activity.
No.
Not at all, actually. Some of them still feel like
I don't notice. I have to remember commentating that there's only that let me pass it because I don't notice.
They were actually going to drop it down to 6.
I would not be unhappy.
Season.
We'd see more program. I think we would see program, and then I just think that doing that many quads is too hard. And then it's so hard, and then you lose that's why I think the men's short program event is better, because
it's less jumps.
It's fewer jumps, and then I think that they can perform better, and then you get to the free. And right now the ladies are figuring it out because the ladies are getting better at doing the jump that ladies have to do, but the men now have to do 5 quads and they can't. And so trying to get through a program with at least 3 quads is too much for them to have a program.
But aren't skaters complaining there's no room in the short to do anything?
But yeah, it seems more creative still. Not always, but that's a good point, actually.
They're supposed to move to I think it got passed for after the Olympics. They're going to do 6 jumps, 2 combinations, and then the choreographic spin. So it's like
you mean 6 jumping passes?
Yeah,
6 jumping passes. Yeah. And a choreographic spin.
They were going to do the choreographic spin this year, and I was really on the fence about how I felt because I think we talked about this, only because it said minimum of 3 revolutions.
Yeah.
And I was like, now we have a throwaway spin.
Mm. But
However,
what if
I would love to
between-
see.
Yeah. Like, I
Sorry.
think if they made the spin, like the choreographic spin, one of your 3 spins has to be choreographic. I would be on board with that. Right. And
But
a friend of mine,
3 rotations?
well, that's a joke, right? Well, you should,
They
you
gotta
know,
fix
that's a
that
joke.
part.
And
That
I'm
part
not
has to be
defending
fixed.
that. I'm talking about like theoretical, what I think could be
Yeah.
good. Because my friend pointed out that if you're doing the choreographic spin, you're also getting rid of potentially 4 variations that are really ugly, right? So
I
then
agree with
skaters
that
can
one.
also pick variations that they're better at on the other spins, and it might spread it out.
Like we're talking about the footwork in my generation, where you chose things that you look good at.
Yes.
And Paul chose things he looked good doing. And then the whole competition looked better because everyone was doing their strengths.
Yes.
That said, we're trying to find out who's the most well-rounded skater. So there's a question there, but still we're also trying to entertain. So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
yeah.
Interesting.
I would be up for the choreographic spin, I think.
I agree, except that it like please make it at least like 7 rotations. Otherwise, there's
Yeah.
no spin. Like you don't have a spin until you rotate
Yeah.
6 or 7 or 8 times.
I'm curious what you have, not about the men, but okay. I respect when skaters do a program that's a risk and not them, but when it's a real dud, when do you get rid of it? Right? Because like Calgary, Chicago seems like it's not her, not working, right? Have you ever had a program that you tried? Valiant effort, it failed. Like, when do you move on?
I did oh my God, Torval Dean, Bolero.
Mm-hmm.
And it was choreographed by a choreographer that had worked well with me before. We choreographed it and worked really hard on it, and I paid him and never did it. I didn't believe in it. Like I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think it was good enough. It was too close to Torval and Dean. And so I think when somebody skates or walks up to you and says, like your mom, no, I don't think this is you. Somebody has to get through to you, or maybe somebody says that to you and you go, I think you're right. But when you've committed so much work and time and money into it, it's hard to say that it didn't work. It's
I think it's also hard if you don't know, like, I think Calgary might be in a place where she doesn't quite know what she wants to skate to. You know how sometimes some years you're like, I know the perfect program. I know exactly.
I have to stand. My knees are killing me.
Okay. Sometimes you're like, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I believe in. And then you got that brilliant program, which is hopefully Olympic year. And then some years you're like,
yeah.
Like, I just don't, I want to try something different. I don't just seeing what's out there. And it kind of feels like that a little bit, which is fine. This is the year to do it.
Well,
I think
also,
that if she gets to Japanese nationals and it still doesn't work, that she changes it before Worlds.
I liked it better in practice. I saw it live.
Okay.
We were there. We saw it live right in front of us in practice.
No, she didn't have a free program. It was
She was doing the end of the long program.
She didn't show us how long there though.
No, but she was doing.
Oh, maybe she saved that from the old program.
Yeah. Oh.
Because she had
it's a good thing I'm not a commentator.
Do people perform for you like skating royalty? Is this what's happening? Like you go in and you're like, skate for us. Like this is.
Oh yeah,
she had
3-time world champion. We'll have that program, please. Thank you.
Yes.
Literally, that was it.
I believe she either didn't have a free program when we went, or she had already dropped one free program and was doing a second one. I do not remember, so don't quote me on that. But we did not see her free program. We only saw her short. So yeah, this might be take 2 already.
I'm not the cleverest egg in the apple basket. So
what did you think of Jason Brown? So what did you think of him while we have you? Yeah.
I also didn't see the long. I got to sit down and commentate only who we saw. I saw his short.
Okay.
Didn't get to see his long. I know I didn't do it on air because he asked me not to because he doesn't want excuses, but he's been really having trouble with his skates and trying to get the right combination. And so once that happens, the skater can get into a bit of a tailspin. So I don't think his long went as well as he wanted. Or his short, so a bit of a disappointing. But it's been what, 3 years since he's had to perform in October.
That's what I was saying too. Yeah, so. I don't. It's just, but what we usually see is him probably doing the programs in the summer and performing them in January.
Yeah. So, anyways, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
It was.
No, we just the program. It's the Striegels, the one that we do with that's reflections that been wanted.
Oh.
It's a hard one to do if you miss jumps. Like, it's just hard to
yeah,
create
some
that.
programs you can get away with more.
It was, yeah, his free was really rough today. Like really,
Was it?
Yeah.
yeah. So that was,
Not a good day.
I want to hug him.
I know.
I know. It was not. And then Deanna, what would your advice be to her, Kurt, while we have you? Breathe.
My advice, like, my gosh, nobody wants the skate of your life at Skate Canada. When you're the world champion, I was world champion for the first time once. I couldn't tie my shoes all year. That's the quote that I keep making. Literally, I didn't know who I was. I felt seen all the time. I felt stared at. I thought I was supposed to be like Brian Orson or Brown
And then you had
Montana,
to prove
were
every
basically
moment.
perfect all the time. That wasn't me. I was a wild, reckless kid. It took 11 and a half months to figure out, like, I barely was able to get through the year. So she's already super critical of herself all the time. And what I saw from the TV screen is her on super critical mode, but ×2. Just chill. Everything's cool. Like, you did your job, you won Skate Canada. Moving on, learning, just chill. That's what Max was saying in the interview. And we will learn from this. We're okay. Skating is fun. Well, let's do the next one. But she seemed pretty upset. So
I mean, she's always hard on herself. So I don't know if the music brings out the most of Deanna. Like, she's got this super conceptual, we're in the ocean, all of this stuff is happening, but she's all about personality and force and passion. And I don't know that we get that from her.
She's kind of, isn't she like kind of more of my generation, where it was like,
yeah,
big arms and like
yes,
that feeling of skating. And so this one, I also didn't like Tess and Scott's, program that they used to win the Olympics and become immortal at first either. So that grew on me. So maybe it'll grow on me. But it's just a hard program to really make a judgment on when they weren't themselves.
Yeah.
When you have 3 major mistakes or whatever it was. So.
Well, did you like June's program? I really liked June Wacha's programs this year. Yes.
Is there one I haven't liked? I mean, he's so darn good. Skater, which is kind of an overused term, don't you think? But I loved it. It took me a bit to get used to the strings all over the place, but I was kind of buying into it in a way because he wore it well.
Well, he's
It enhances him.
He's got like that cool young kid vibe to him, right? He's got the hair and yeah,
he's cool. I liked the program. I did. I enjoyed the program. Yeah. It was fun. He seems to be able to create some of that old school elements where he holds the bower almost all the way around in one circle.
I could see him doing Alexia Romanov's Phantom with the cape that's 6 feet long, like
Yes.
16 feet long behind him.
He would make a good Phantom. I liked Reno.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. It was. I think I literally I clutched my pearl. Like when she did one of the moves, I literally inhaled on air.
It was the right outside edge.
Sorry, say it again.
There's the right outside edge as she started the step sequence that just got me. It was just ethereal, beautiful, open skating, just gorgeous.
Yep. And I thought the move was all done, and then she pulls out without putting her foot down, uses her knee, and then still does one more turn. And I just was that was. I don't know who choreographed that. It was smart. It was great.
Lori Nickel.
And that music needed who? Lori
Nickel. Yeah.
Forgot. What? That music needed a clean skate. It's one of those.
Yeah.
It's one of those. The music you don't give to a skater that you don't think that can go out there and execute, because flaws show, but there was none. She was amazing. That was.
And I think Alissa Liu is adding a lot of. I think Alissa Liu is adding a lot of energy to the event, just being back with her personality, and she's not like a normal skater, right? Like, she's been in the real world and she has a point of view, and it makes it a little exciting that she's, not from the world of skating right now. Like, she's
also nice.
I'm sorry?
It's nice to see any skater come back for themselves.
Yeah.
I think, like, we see young skaters.
Jason.
I agree too. But like, you saw it with Akiko and Carolina, and like all the skaters that mature, they stick around and they mature. They're always better because they're there because they want to. Like, no one's telling them go to the rink because you have to, or no one's saying like this. They're not doing this because this is all they know. They're doing this because this is what they want to do. And I think that
Indiana,
especially Deanna, like, yeah. But I think that brings something in. I'm really glad that Alissa Liu is back. I think her short program is stunning.
Mhm.
And I
But I think both choices were good for her because
agree.
of the lyrical aspect that I thought she heard.
Yeah.
Sometimes lyrics can just get in the way because the skater's plowing, pushing words out of the way to get to the triple flip. And she didn't. She made me hear the song, the lyrics. And
Yeah. Especially in the short.
Well, the short was her choice too. Of the two programs, that was the one that she specifically chose. So I think that one just has more meaning for her as well.
And you can see that, and that's
I
think that's so important in skating. Just like that makes you want to watch her. We watched it because it came up on your Instagram somehow, and we were both blown away by.
Kurt's a great Instagram.
I remember. I think I called you over and I said, "Who's this skater?" Like a few years ago.
Right.
I think when Jeremy Abbott was working with her, and I was like, "Who is this? She's amazing. Who is this?" And you came over and go, "It's Alissa Liu," and I go, "What?" she had matured, so I didn't recognize her silhouette, and then I was just like, "Oh my gosh, she's amazing." And then we lost like the sport; she went away, but she's back, so it's awesome.
But I think that Donna Summer has edge. Like it has, it's not like your typical skating free program music, and it was like refreshing, right? So
sometimes you have to think about not just what you look like skating to the music, but how you fit into the bigger picture of the evening. How when interjected with all the other skaters will your program be illuminated? And so that works for Stars and Ice. It also works for competition. It's a lot easier to predict in Stars and Ice because you know who your skaters are, you know who the choreographer is, and you're like, I often go, I think this show might need, like I did the comedy with the popcorn on purpose, to try to be like a break, 7th inning stretch for you baseball fans. And sometimes I think the show needs a diversion. And then you get back to the real skating. And so that was my job. But in a competitive world, I thought that she just like blip and just shone in conjunction with what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of droning. There was like Kimi Rupond, such a light, young creature, and really finding her skating. I'm not sure that program, it was like it kind of drones on. And so there's a lot of passion. You're trying to recreate passion. You're also trying to do 6 triples, and it's hard to do both at once. So Tara Lipinski won the Olympics with a light piece of music that suited her age. So anyways, thoughts?
Yeah, I think Kimi is moving forward. It's clear to me, even if she's not, like she's improved a lot from the last.
She's amazing. That wasn't the message I was trying to make. I just feel like that's the one.
But you mentioned before that you said
on.
that she was finding herself, and what I said is I agree. Where I think a lot of these skaters kind of stay the same from year to year, and like not much changes, right? But like she's someone that I see kind of moving up, even if she's taking risks. Like she seems like a skater.
Moving up, literally, she grew 6 inches again.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also hope, like in her case, she reminds me of Carolina. And I mean, it took Carolina 10 years at senior nationals, oh my goodness, at senior worlds to win. But the Carolina that we ended up with was so amazing because she was patient. Her people, her team was patient with her, and it wasn't like she's one and done and we should give up on her. Like I think that Carolina just kept getting better every year, and I hope that Kimi takes that same route, and now she has Michael Huth on her team, who knows exactly that process because he had Carolina
and that body type.
And that body type. And so I really like, I can't wait to see her say, like, at the next Olympics even. Could you imagine how good if she keeps improving at this rate?
Yeah, I think her jumps could get a little bigger. I think that's one.
A little higher,
kind of. But I think overall, I think she's someone that has a lot of potential to win in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It sounds like you guys enjoyed Skate Canada. Like you.
Yeah, it was a good event.
You know what? It was better in the free than in the short on some of the days. You know, like the event came a lot. Like I thought the men's event, the ending was pretty good, right? I think there are some good skaters that just have like very generic programs or haven't found themselves. Like I thought like Sota Yamamoto and Shun Sato can go in and out where they can show you really great stuff, but the performance doesn't last.
Did you tell him?
No, I didn't.
What?
We saw their programs in Japan,
Okay.
and we may have mentioned it. I mean, to them.
Mhm.
I did. I mentioned it to them. I love both of their skating, and especially Sota. Like he's just in his step sequence is gorgeous. I just felt like they were both trying to be Shoma or Yuzu and not themselves, and so they just picked classical.
Yeah.
And then you get lost in the classical.
Yes.
Amongst a group of people who have classical music, you're just lost and you don't stand out. And if you
What
don't,
we were just talking about.
Yeah, if you don't-
Alyssa Liu.
but I also think that they both have more than that.
Yes.
But I
Shun
don't know-
especially has like a power
Yeah.
that I don't think like the ladies in lavender or even his free is like bringing out. Like,
Shun?
Yeah.
yeah.
Shun, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt the long program feels a little like he's hurrying to the next thing versus just going to the next thing.
Yeah.
And Sato is very calm and just moves the air out of the way and just does the quad.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I actually don't mind.
He should be a magician
Sota's
or a wizard.
free program so much, except that I feel like classical whatever has been overused.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like if he's the only one in the event skating to a classical piece, I think it would be fantastic, but it just feels like everybody's skating to classical music this year. And it's hard.
I get like I always feel like Sota's imitating me through
You sound so
hum.
angry.
I know, because he's so much better than that.
Oh, I don't know if I should stand, sit
You
on the
wanna
couch.
sit?
Maybe I'll do that
Okay.
But yeah, overall I thought Skate Canada was pretty good.
Good.
It was fair. Did you like competing at these early competitions in October, Kurt? Or were
It
you
was too long ago to remember what I felt. I don't remember having an opinion on it. I don't remember. I
Okay,
just
you-
when it was Skate Canada, you were Canadian, you were up for it. I mean, you did what it took to be ready because it was so important to you. You felt like everyone was going to see this skate. So I think Canadians go in being ready. Americans go in ready for Skate America. It doesn't matter if it was in July. You prepare.
Yeah.
You do it.
We were saying that I thought Piper and Paul always show up so prepared for every competition, and that's what really stands out to me. And we just saw Madison and Evan, who were really not prepared for Skate America, and I think the juxtaposition was pretty stark at this point, just in terms of where they are, in terms of being ready for the season. So that was interesting. Yeah. I mean,
No, but you're right. I felt like Meryl and Charlie, I once described them as a gleaming steam engine that you can't stop, like a shiny silver steam engine. And
Yes.
once they get their program started, nothing's going to deviate them from their path. And I get that from Piper and Paul too. They're just so solid. They're both so strong, and they're both so confident in themselves as people off the ice as well as each other as a team. And you just sit back and just wait for what they're going to give us this time. Like you just have so much confidence in them. And maybe the judges are starting to really
appreciate that
see
too.
not just what's happening today, but the body of work and respect what that is.
yeah, I thought that was, yeah. What was your moment of the week of Skate Canada, everyone?
They asked me that on air, and I said the backflip just because it's changed the it changed the program. That's changed the sport a little bit in a different direction. And for me, who enjoyed the backflip so much in my career and watching my heroes do it and seeing what it does in shows, like I'm curious to see what it's going to do. So that's what I said. My real answer would have been Reno.
How about you?
I would say mine was the Kimi Rapan short program
Okay.
for me. Yeah.
I have to say Marjorie and Zach for me. Everyone has been complaining that there's been so much like sameness in the ice dance, and I thought they shook things up, but I think that they could wind up on the world podium this year. So Canada could have 2 medalists, and I think that it shook things up.
Could. I don't know politically if they could, but Marjorie and Zach are quite good.
I think they're going to take out that little inside spread eagle thing because he was very angry in the interview afterwards, and was kind of like that. Obviously he has a history they have a history with that move, so I predict it's gone.
Yeah, they said they were getting rid of it too.
Yeah.
The intense
Yeah.
personalities of this team makes me drawn to them. Like, I want to know more. You know, like there's clearly a history
Yeah.
of
And I've never met them. I've never
Yeah.
interacted with them. Weirdly, just I've never been at a banquet and walked up and said hi. Like I've never met them, so they're a mystery.
they don't seem very like stereotypically Canadian. They're like they are openly intense, and it's
I
refreshing.
mean, he is openly intense. I don't think she is.
She, I mean, he's openly intense for both of them, but she looks like a strong character, right?
Uh-huh.
She's not a wilter.
Yeah.
You could tell. Yeah, she's.
I was noticing, or never, or let me restart that. I mean, I've retired from Stars and Ice and basically taking myself out of situations where people paid too much money for a ticket. But I miss being in the dressing room and being in the rehearsal period of those shows, because for more than almost anybody in the sport, get to meet the next generation and meet the next generation. And so I'm also a fan of the sport. And now I'm sitting beside Shoma Uno, you know, and I'm nervous to meet him, and so on and so on. But now that I'm not performing in that way, I'm and to use a golfing term, I'm outside of the ropes. I'm not inside the ropes that keep people back. And I'm going to really miss that. So that's one of the examples. I've never met them and might never. Who knows?
Yeah.
Are you still a big Yuma fan? Last year you were really into Yuma Kagiyama and Hisao.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, anybody that makes me like giggle when I watch skating, even though I don't think he's found exactly the right vehicle yet so that we can meet him, or just fall for him. He has this really amazing youthful curiosity about skating and about flying and about landing jumps and the power, and it takes me back to maybe what I used to feel when I was, you know, at my physical peak, and it's sort of like time travel a little bit. I just love how much he loves doing it, and it seems like a real nice person. I got to work with him and Laurie Nickel for a hot minute, and I remember Laurie was like wanting him to land this jump and then be able to stay on the foot and do some footwork on one foot, and they weren't quite there, and so she brought me in to be kind of like her muse a little bit, and just to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, which was like, yes.
Have you worked with both Laurie and Sandra? Is that like cheating on one blonde with another Canadian blonde? Like, what? How is that?
Yeah. We made up this footwork step, and I was doing it, and he was trying to figure it out, and then she says, okay, now try it after the jump. I didn't know the jump was a quad sow, which he just landed perfectly, and then messed up the step. So she's like, try it again. So he lands the quad sow perfectly and then kind of messes up the step. So we work on it a little bit more. So then he skates off, and I'm like, he doesn't have to do the quad sow. He could do a double. We would know if it works. She goes, leave him alone. He's good. Quad sow, quad sow, quad sow, all landed perfect. Just to try a back pull 3-turn edge bracket turn thing. And it's like, okay. Skate god.
Okay. Now, when you trained with Christy, how often were her programs perfect? Like, just curious. Like when she.
We, as in everyone else, was sleeping in Saturday morning, recovering from Friday night, and she'd be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, doing her clean long program again, almost all the time.
Even the sound.
She will say no, because she's probably going to remember more about her mistakes, but it was just kind of frustrating to watch her just bang off another clean long program, which she did at the Olympics, and then, I don't know, immortality.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never been that skater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try.
I knew.
I don't know why at 8 o'clock in the morning trying it.
Not me. I can remember before, I guess it would have been Germany at Worlds a long time ago when I had a comb, and I was going to do these triple, and another triple, because I was told Victor Petrenko was going to win, and sorry, there's nothing you could do about it. So we just stacked the program, had the quad, had triple axel double loop. The only jump in the program that wasn't really comboed was the quad. And so off I go. And I, with full confidence, because I had done it clean once that year. And I did it clean about a week before I left. And I remember skated over my coach and I go, I'm good. Now I know I can do it. And I almost did it. I popped the quad into a triple, but I did everything else. So I was a very unusual skater. So when people say, do you do off ice? And I'm like, no, it's the worst for me. Do you see or visualize your progress before you skate? No, it's the kiss of death for me. Do you, and I'm not like everyone else. I don't go into a dark place and focus. I want to be in the loudest place where the TV cameras are. I want to see Chris Bowman be interviewed just before I step on the ice, so it fires me up. So I'm not good for speeches.
Well, thank you both so much. It was so much fun and a lot of fun at Skate Canada. Yes, and Kurt, all of the Russians pronounce your name Quart Browning. And
Yes,
they're all, yeah.
There's always 2 or 3 extra R's. Court. Why are you late again? Court.
They're all big fans. So, yes.
As am I, you guys. Take care. Peace.
Yes.
Thank you.